Hi, everyone.
Everyone, to the 2023 HiTOPS Trans Youth Forum. We are so excited to be with you today.
We have an amazing lineup of keynote speakers and spotlight videos for you today. For everyone watching at home, don't forget to use the chat function to submit questions. HiTOPS staff are moderating the chat and will send your questions our way.
Our theme, "We Will Not Be Erased," is a statement that stands for strength and resilience and a reminder to you all that you are not alone. My name is Arrow. I use any pronouns and I'm 16 years old. This is my second year on the HiTOPS Trans Youth Advisory Board.
My name is Daly. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm 17 years old, and this is my first year on the HiTOPS Trans Youth Advisory Board.
Today, we're going to be talking about a bunch of topics that impact the transgender community. Remember, it's okay if you need to step away. You can leave the forum at any time and rejoin using the registration link you received in your email.
Absolutely, Arrow. To kick off TYF 23, we have the pleasure of introducing our first guest.
A person who has made history as the youngest transgender model to walk in New York Fashion Week, an LGBTQ+ and AL youth ambassador and transgender rights activist, Noella. Welcome. We have also invited one of your parents to join you today, so welcome, Asher.
Yes, welcome, Noella and Asher. So happy to have both of you with us.
So something fun that we like to do at HiTOPS is to always start with an icebreaker question.
So we would love to know, if you could have any skill instantly, what would it be?
Archery.
Why that's
Mostly because it's just, I like using a bow and it would be cool using a bow and arrow, and it seems really cool and fun.
Awesome. We would love to start off by asking about your beautiful family.
Tell us about your siblings. How old are they?
So my siblings are my younger brother, which is their name's Levi, and they're 9, and they love Roblox. And I have a baby sibling, which their name's Rory, almost 2, and their favorite thing to really just do is say bus, and yeah.
For Asher, being part of the queer community, did you envision having children? And if so, how did you want to teach them about gender?
Yes, I always knew that I wanted to have kids. And my kids have been raised what we say a queer bubble. I didn't raise my children with gender roles. They had to come out to us. My youngest is almost 2, and the only people who know their sex assigned at birth is if they change their diaper. And then my 9-year-old sat us down and said, "I'm a boy and I'm going to stay a boy." And then I have the very sparkly Noella. So it's been great to watch them grow up and see who they are and who they tell me they are.
Amazing. Noella, you have such a wonderful family support system. Did they give you the confidence to come out at such a young age to be your authentic self? And how old were you?
I was 4, and my dad was always like cared and always has just told me to be who I am. So yeah.
Noella, we have all heard so many different stories of youth who don't have family support. What do you appreciate most about your support system?
That I get to be around queer people, and that gives me the confidence to be myself sometimes.
Definitely. Asher, what was your initial reaction when Noella came out to you?
You know, it's going to be surprising. I cried. And I didn't cry because I was so proud of her, but also because as a parent, we never want our children to face adversity or know that they're being set up to be in a position where they could be bullied, they could have a harder life. I've always 100% accepted my child, but I think even as a queer person, I came out as gay in the 90s, and actually I came out as trans after her, but she came first. You know, I think that what a lot of parents need to understand, that it's normal to feel a sense of worry about your child, and that's because you care and you love them. So while I am a queer person, I am a trans person, I 100% support her transition. I'm always there to be concerned for her well-being. And so as I said, I raised my children with no gender roles. So I always knew that they were going to be whoever they told me they were. But there was definitely a sense of worry for her. And there's always going to be a sense of worry for her. And also for my son, I'm always worried for him as well.
Also for Asher, were you in a supportive environment when you came out? And how did that impact the dynamic of how you wanted to raise your children?
When I first came out as gay, no. I was not raised at a time in which that was very accepted. But my transition from my gender, we have such an incredible community. Noella had already transitioned. The majority of my friends are LGBT, and I have an amazing chosen family. We have an amazing chosen family, both related and non-related, that have really embraced my transition and been supportive of me.
Definitely. How does Noella's success in activism and modeling affect your life and family dynamics? This is for both.
How does it not? We've had paparazzi outside of our house. No, Noella has been such an incredible influence. She stood with government officials for executive bill signings. We've seen change in the education system here in Illinois. She's been just so vocal about wanting to be visible for trans kids, and that's something that's so important to her. And she really leads the way in those things. But it definitely impacts our lives. Her travel schedule, her schooling, she does maintain straight A's, so education comes first. We do our best to support her while also making sure she has a good work-life balance.
Speaking of that, Noella, how did you get involved in modeling, and did that lead you into transgender activism?
I did activism first. The first time I did activism, I was 5. My first time I did modeling, I was 7. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to continue in modelism and activism?
I want to become a physicist, but I still do want to do modeling and activists for trans people.
That's
A
awesome.
bit of follow-up, but why do you want to be a physicist when you grow up?
Because I like physics. I like studying physics, science, which also plays a role in that. And my favorite law is Newton's third law. Every reaction is an equal and opposite reaction. So
she's a model and an extreme science nerd. She loves learning.
If I could, I would probably have already blown this house up.
That's true. Not on purpose. She just wants to be able to explore more with science, and we do not have a lab in our home.
Probably for good reasons.
Well, hopefully one day. Noella, how does it feel to be one of the only youth transgender models?
Like, cool that I get to be like a supportive person for more people, because it's very unlikely for them to run into someone that they can see themselves in and can actually relate and look up to.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is for both Asher and Noella. What do you think about trans representation on the runway?
So, when she first started in this, there was really no one for me to look to. And, you hear the horror stories of the fashion and model industry. And the more she got into this and the more opportunities that she got with, the more we realized that it's important for people like her and other trans people to get involved in modeling or other industries where there isn't a lot of trans representation. And when she first started, and she's only started her Instagram maybe 2 years ago, we were getting messages from kids, from young adults, even from adults, saying like, I appreciate so much that you're doing this. I really love fashion and dysphoria and all of these other things. So, I think it's so important to have all types of people on the runway or in any other industry really representing and being able to be visible. What do you think, Noella? She says, yeah.
We read that you left Paris Fashion Week because you were the target of transphobic language by the designer you were supposed to work for. We want to commend you for standing up for not only yourself, but for the entire community.
Asher, what ultimately made your family decide that you could no longer work with this particular designer?
For us and getting into this industry, and allowing her to have this career, we wanted to have our own morals, our own ethics, our own safety first. It's never been about money, what modeling brings, fame. It's always been visibility first. It's always been safety first. And unfortunately, we did not know the history of this designer prior to commitment. And after we found out, and after we had an ongoing issue while we were in Paris, we talked with Noella's team and ultimately made the decision that we don't want to put Noella's name or our family in association with anyone who isn't fully accepting of our community. That is always the first priority for us. We have no problem walking away from an opportunity. If it isn't in the best interest of Noella, it isn't in the best interest of our family, and it isn't really showcasing what we believe in.
Noella, speaking of fashion, what is your favorite style of clothing to wear and what are your favorite brands?
This is the question I've been looking forward to. I like crop tops. I like high-waisted pants. I like anything fuzzy. I like anything soft. I like onesies. I like leather. This time someone can't cut this out because the last time I said that.
She did a media thing and they were like, she's too young to like leather. She loves leather jackets and boots and all motorcycle gear. The brands that you like?
Brands that I like are Trans Clothing Company, Ronasio, and Susan.
Yeah, those are all queer LGBT, all trans owned companies.
Very cool. We've heard that you have a hat collection. What is your favorite thing about accessories?
They're fun to wear, and I get to pick it, and I get to match them with my outfits, and it's just really cool.
Noella, we know you're a very, very accomplished model and you do both photo and runway modeling. And which do you prefer? Why?
I prefer runway because I like the experience. I like the crowd. I like the excitement, all that stuff. And I also like to be with where a lot of people are, and not just me and a few other people doing some taking some photos, and some people taking photos of us, then sending it to us, and then also posting it on the internet. I'd rather have some more excitement. I'd rather have the experience. I'd rather have the crowd. All that stuff is just way more exciting to me.
What are the thoughts and emotions that run through your head when you're walking down a runway?
Just fun thoughts that it's just thinking about how fun this is, and everything about it, and my clothes, how much everything is so cool to me.
Very cool.
She never gets nervous, so
no,
she never gets nervous.
I
get nervous for her. She never gets nervous.
I've been doing bass. I've been on the been in front of crowds since how long? I was
about 6 years old.
6. So I did dancing.
She did competitive ballroom.
I did competitive ballroom before this. So I know
she's a big old ham, is what she's saying.
Very cool. What are some of your favorite places you've traveled to for modeling?
New York, Paris, LA, and I'm looking forward to going to London, and then also HiTOPS.
Yeah, planning to come visit you guys in September, hopefully
Hopefully.
around New York Fashion Week, since you guys are so close.
It's only like an hour to drive.
We'll figure it out.
So that's fun.
With any career, we know there are advantages and disadvantages. And Noella, what advice do you have for young aspiring models?
Just don't do things that don't feel right to you, and be confident. And don't let people's words get to your head, and just do what you want.
Good advice. Okay, now we have an audience question. How do you decide which designers to work with?
That's their question.
Yeah, so Noella has an incredible team that I work with, but we do heavy research on each designer and each opportunity. We look into their past, and if they ever have done anything that is in support of the community. Have they ever made any statements pro or against? Have they been neutral? We vet them where their stances are in terms of, I'm so sorry, give me one moment.
No problem. All right. We can move on.
Yeah, while we're doing that, Noella, do you get to model with other young people or always adults? And what's it like? This is another audience question.
So sorry,
Well,
my son wanted to know if he could be involved. Sometimes Levi gets jealous. I apologize. What was do you want me to finish that question? The first one?
Sure.
So we always make sure that we vet them and really make sure that they have practices and policies in place that they're fully accepting Noella.
We have another audience question. Noella, do you get to model with other young people or is it always adults? And what's it like?
It's mostly adults. Sometimes people my age, but usually it's adults. Because I'm usually the youngest person there.
And Noella has only ever done one all-kid show.
Yeah. I think so.
Besides that, she's done one show that had one other child in it. Honestly, it's really sad to say a lot of designers that work with kids don't want to work with trans kids. There, with our current political climate, there's just a lot of taboo nature around it. And we have found that when she's working with the designers who work, well, they don't work with all ages. A lot of them will actually design specifically for Noella. So Noella has like one of a kind clothing because they've never made kid clothing and they never are going to make kid clothing, but they want to show the diversity or they want to break into it. Like Trans Clothing Company, their entire kid line was inspired by Noella. And her doing those shows, she gets for a day or a weekend a bunch of big siblings, a bunch of queer or cis or just wonderful accepting big siblings who get really attached to her and play games with her backstage. And it's always been just this really fun environment as they all get amped up before they put their model face on and go for it.
We've seen from social media that you enjoy dance and gymnastics, Noella. So what do your hobbies mean to you in terms of identity or just everyday fun?
They're mostly just for fun, because it's mostly just for fun because mostly just for fun.
What do you enjoy about like dancing?
It's modeling, because that's technically also my job. It's not more of a hobby. It's not a job.
But you enjoy it.
Yes, yeah, it's still really fun.
Yeah. All right. For Asher, we all know that supportive, welcoming welcoming school environments where LGBTQ plus identities are respected or even embraced improve academic and emotional outcomes for LGBTQ plus students. How was the school support for you all as Noella came out at such a young age?
It was rough. So we live in Illinois. So we're in Chicago area. And when Noella came out, we didn't have trans affirming policies in place within our academics. In 2019, Noella stood with our governor to sign a bill to require affirming practices regardless of legal change. So that has been a huge change here in Illinois. We do know statistically, kids who are able to be who they are and feel safe, of course, are gonna thrive. And at the end of the day, in school, your social situations, they are where your interests, your hobbies, how you relate to people come into place. But your gender and your genitalia don't really play a place in your actual academics. It's all just about being there, getting equal treatment, making sure that you have what you need to thrive and succeed in the academic environment, and find the people that most accept you and have the training in school for your teachers, your administrators on how to handle situations, how to talk about affirming language, how to handle situations of bullying, how to educate parents, how to educate students, how to educate teachers. All of these things, in my opinion, should be required. And in Illinois, they are now required. They have to go through trans affirming training. All the teachers, everyone who works in the school has to learn how to handle those situations.
Definitely, as we're not seeing too much inclusivity throughout schools throughout the country, which leads to Noella, what advice can you give to those who are struggling with getting support from school administration? This question can be open to both of you if you both want to.
I mean, Noella's way of dealing with it has always just been being really loud. I mean, Noella's just really loud. That's how we started this activism. But speaking up, telling your teachers, telling a safe person, telling your parents, listening to your kids, hearing them when they say this something wrong. A lot of times in schools, they'll kind of downplay what's going on. You are your child's number one advocate. You are your child's biggest fan, their voice. Calling meetings, talking to people, talking to your kids, talking to parents, getting them involved. But for Noella, for instance, she has always made sure that when there's a situation, whether it's at her, it's at someone else, that she's the first to go and tell someone. And really that's step one, is making sure that it's heard and it's known.
That's spectacular. That's so important. Yeah. Okay, we have an audience question from a non-binary adult who works within a local public school district. Is there anything you, Asher, would like to tell teachers and school staff members to know how to help people like Noella feel included and supported?
Day one of your school classroom experience, new students, hi, my name is, and this is my pronouns. Set the tone day one, because we are raised in this society to make assumptions. And the best way to support kids who have transitioned, who are thinking about transitioning, who are hiding who they are, who are ready to come out, is to be able to first and foremost say, and of course, if you're a non-binary educator, I feel for you. I'm, as a non-binary person, navigating the world of children and of adults, setting that tone of, why do we talk about pronouns? Why does this person who identifies this way wear this, but this one wears this? And depending on the age you work with, there are many resources. And I always say, Noella picks her content on social media, but I post it. It's on my page. She actually doesn't have direct access. She's 11 years old. people all the time go on her Instagram and send questions. I'm always happy to answer them. I do these trainings, I do these education. So, you know, step one of like, if you're in teaching kindergarten, how would you talk about different types of people and what they wear and how they dress, just like we talk about different types of families. If you're talking about high schoolers, you know, really relating it down to what are things that you are passionate about. Is that a thing that's meant for some specific gender? Can alt, like really breaking it down and talking about it. But for me, day one, when I talk to educators, is pronouns and normalizing all different types of identities from the get-go.
A little of going back to the physics, someone from the audience, Gav, said that their favorite law of physics is Newton's third law too.
Another audience member says that they've never met another trans person who likes art and science too. I would like to add on that I'm huge into STEM, and I really love that we have a trans activist on the forum who like loves science, and that's their interest. It's so cool.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on to activism, where did you, Noella, get the confidence at such a young age to become an activist?
So it's just like, I've always been super confident in what I do. And no one's ever told me to, and usually everyone that I know cares about me always tells me to do things I care about and say things that I want to say and stand up for things I care about. So that's just what I do. I stand up for what I think is right, and no one can tell me otherwise. No one.
And what do you think needs to change surrounding how people perceive trans youth?
I feel like they should see that trans people are still people and they should be treated like people.
Yeah, well put. All right. For Asher, what do you hope for Noella in her future?
I feel like I cannot wait to see what her future holds. She's 11 years old. She has done incredible things this far in her life. I'm in constant awe of her. And
They still believe that I'm famous.
Yeah, people keep telling me this kid is famous, and I keep going, nah, she's a swamp monster. But you know, I feel like in her future, I just can't wait to see what she does. Like, I know I can see her becoming this ultra high femme trans scientist who on the weekend is at marches and, you know, volunteering. And, you know, I don't want to predict her future for her. I feel it's hers to decide and to support her, but I know that she's got quite a bright future ahead of her.
Noella, you are really amazing by empowering young people all around the nation or even the world. So what advice would you give the queer youth who look up to you?
Just be themselves, that they are like valid, and no one can tell them otherwise, and you should not let anyone don't listen to anyone's bad words or don't listen to your bad thoughts, and just be who you are and don't let anyone tell you otherwise that you're not who you are.
I couldn't agree more. All right. What exciting new projects are you working on in 2023 that we can look out for?
Well, I'm coming to you soon. So you might be able to see me more there, but you could also see me doing some more high fashion stuff. I should be doing some Snoozos soon.
You have New York Fashion Week.
New York Fashion Week. You can see me there. I'm always there.
She'll be there in September, hopefully as the first youth to walk on a Dapper Q show. So last year
Hopefully.
she was a VIP, and this year she's hoping to actually be on the runway. Oh, and in June you'll see her in all Kohl's. She is one of the faces of pride for Kohl's, so you'll be able to see her in department stores. It'll be her first, I think it's international campaign for a department store, which is not usually her thing, but
No.
pride is her thing. So she
Right.
agreed to do it. And then the hope is that we'll be going to London this year too.
Very fun. I'm so glad that you're excited to come see us at the closet. And also it's very cool that you're doing a department store like campaign. That's so exciting, and I hope to see you in stores.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. For those who don't know, the closet is an event at HiTOPS that we host where you can come to find transgender and gender conforming clothing and articles and accessories to maintain your support. And hopefully Noella can stop by, put some outfits together. We'll see.
We put together fully free pop-up closets, so check on the HiTOPS Instagram for updates on that. We have some audience questions now. So one audience question for Asher: how do you respond to people who think trans issues aren't kids' issues?
Man, I feel like I have been asked that question so many times, and every time I can feel like my blood boil. Everyone's identity is valid no matter their age. I have a 2-year-old who loves buses and loves the color pink and loves,
Anything with wheels.
anything with wheels, right? So as human beings, we are who we are, and that doesn't start at adulthood, that doesn't start at teenagehood, that starts from the moment you start having a tiny personality, right? And obviously babies are born in their blobs and you dress them however, they're mainly a doll at that point, right? But as parents, as members of society, we need to be listening to our kids and what makes them feel the most affirmed in their skin, because maybe one day they want to wear a dress, the next day they want to wear a baseball cap, that day they feel the best version of themselves,
Or at the same time.
or at the same time. More power to you. Your style is your style, but at the end of the day, we're here to make sure that every day they feel confident in themselves, and that will lead them to the most success in their lives.
We have another audience question for Noella, or both of you. What is Dapper Q?
Dapper Q is just an organization, not really it's more like a fashion. They make clothes.
Well, so Dapper Q started as an online platform that had fashion and style for queer people, and it was kind of the first of its kind. So it's more my generation where there was the place that you could try to find things that weren't mainstream. And now they have their own runway show. They're the largest LGBT fashion runway show in the country, and it's in Brooklyn in September during Fashion Week. And it's an incredible experience. It's open to the public. You can buy tickets. I feel like I'm promoting them. I do not work for them. Okay. This is not a promotion, but hi, Dapper Q. But it's definitely meant for adults. There's everything from trans products and care, from underwear through suits, through you name it. But the whole thing is trans designers, trans models, LGBT upfront, queer upfront, normalizing all bodies of all types. It's not just your models. It's differently abled. It's an incredible experience. We loved being there last year and watching the show, and now getting more involved.
That's spectacular.
Hopefully we'll get more involved.
Yes, we're still in that process.
That's so fun. I hope to be able to see it in the future. Okay, we have another audience question. This person says, yay for Kohl's, and asks, are there any other partnership possibilities in the works?
There always are. And we're always under wonderful contracts that we can't say. Noella has an incredible team that helps me vet those, and ultimately she makes final decision. But we do try to stay away from too many mainstream things, because for us, it's about supporting LGBT organizations, nonprofits, designers. She just had Mini V magazine come out that talks about how she's a game changer in fashion, and having trans people and trans kids forward and visible. If you follow her on Instagram, then Noella Bella, every time we're able to finally burst and tell you what's going on, it's on there. But you can also always contact her and hear about what's going on in her career and her life.
Great. We have a follow-up. How do you figure out if an organization or someone who is reaching out to you to work with them is affirming in transgender issues?
A lot of research and interviews. We don't agree to anything off the bat. We always look into the history of that organization. We talk to the people who work there. We talk to people who've worked with them. Noella has a manager, agent, publicist. So there are so many layers of protection for her as a trans kid. She has unfortunately been in things like tabloids, right, as a trans kid. So it's really important that, to me as her parent and to her team, that we are taking our time and not jumping at anything, and really vetting before we make a commitment.
We have a question from a fellow HiTOPS support group member. It says, do you have any advice for young trans people who want to get involved in activism or advocacy?
What did you say?
Do you have any advice for young trans people who want to get involved in activism and advocacy?
Be as loud as you can. Yeah, just be as loud as you can. Also, like, stand up for what's right as much as you can.
Go out.
Yeah.
Go out, be around people. Noella first started we live in Chicago. You guys know you're in New Jersey. It's cold here. Noella forced us to a protest in January when she went, and we stood outside and she talked to everyone. She had a sign that she had made, and there's a picture of it online, I'm sure you could find, that says, "I'm not scary, I'm transgender." And she was 5 years old and wearing this sign around her neck on Mardi Gras beads, and talking to every person who came off the stage who was speaking and saying, "I'm trans, and like, what can I do and how can I help?" And then she ended up getting involved in the very first fundraiser for now a major nonprofit organization here that's all trans operated and specifically for trans people. And it's really, when you're a cute kid, people pay attention to you more. But it really is just about getting involved, volunteer, go out, talk to people. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your time commitment. If it's something you're passionate about, find opportunities and go and do it.
Yeah, we definitely know that throughout this, you're going to encounter people, or everyone encounters people who aren't as supportive. So despite all that, how do you keep putting yourself out there and navigating and doing advocacy when you might not feel so great?
Doing advocacy. What do you mean don't feel so great? Like sick?
No, like we keep her pretty sheltered. She knows there's tabloids. One of my favorite things she's ever said is like, "I know I made it because I've been clickbait." She has always been someone to be like, "That's cool, but it's not real." She doesn't really seem to let things get to her, which I appreciate and wish I could inherit. I always say
it doesn't reverse, by the way. It doesn't reverse.
I always say that I want to be her when I grow up. But anytime that anyone has said anything negative to her, she's just like, "Well, it's not true. You have your opinion, but I know who I am." And sometimes on the loud and aggressive side, and sometimes in the respectful way, depending on the situation. But she doesn't seem to, at least outwardly, ever let anyone feel like they have control over who she is and how she feels.
I'm glad. That's spectacular. That's something that's so important for like us trans people who are obviously facing like oppression about our identities. Okay, we have another audience question. This is a little more on the bright side. For Noella, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you during a modeling gig?
I don't know.
Oh, that's
That's hard.
the funny. I mean, she's fallen on her face multiple times.
That's just
There's
me though.
There's a picture on her Instagram and she's on one foot. And the amount of times that she hit the ground before that picture was finally like created. What people don't realize is how much we laugh on set. Like when she is doing, when she's on set and not on a runway, I think that 90% of it is her just cracking up and doing the weirdest things ever to try to get a cool picture. I mean, she was trying to do one where it looked like she was like screaming and like they were like, just go, and she don't do it. She just went for it, and then the entire photo team was just dying laughing. On the runway, you know, she's never had any sort of clothing malfunctions or anything like that. Knock on wood, cross fingers.
Anything.
She's had clothing that don't necessarily fit her, that she's always kind of figured out.
We've not done those.
But
Most of them.
but yeah, I would say like it's mainly in photo studios that she crawls on the floor, she's rolling around, she's, you know, she has to do high fashion. So it's not just like commercial. I think that's why she likes high fashion so much, is she's coming up with weird ways. In the Mini V magazine, there's a picture of her that was published that she actually was falling. Like she fell into the playground equipment.
I was to find it, but I'm not going to.
But you know, she fell into it. And the picture happened to be great, but we were like running at her to make sure she didn't fall off a play structure in the process.
It's
so
fine.
she stayed up.
I stayed.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I was in boots.
Yeah, she was in massive motorcycle boots.
I don't know how I would have been able to climb up there.
Climbing like a kid's rock wall. It was an experience.
I had two people just push me up.
Yeah.
So Alicia wants to know how you would recommend telling someone your pronouns who may not support you.
You know, that's a really personal
I don't
decision.
talk to them.
Well, that's a Noella answer.
I don't talk to them.
Noella is very, if you don't support me, I guess we can't
See
be
ya.
friends. Which is very much, we like to make sure we surround ourselves with people who are always affirming. And I think a lot of times, people aren't necessarily not affirming, they just need education. So it's really up to you and how much you feel like you can do that emotional work and say, this is who I am. And as an adult who's been out for more than half of my life, you're always coming out. You're always telling someone who you are, especially if you're non-binary. You come out every day of your life, or you just accept being misgendered. So when it comes to someone who's a friend, I would just sit down and say, hey, you know, this is who I am. If you need to learn more, here's some links. You can research this on your own, and I'm happy to answer questions. Or if you feel confident, you can say, what can I answer for you? But I would really come to yourself first and say, what can I handle in this communication? What do I feel safe doing? And then go from there.
That's a very great answer. Okay, we have another audience. Oh, yeah. We have another audience question. Asher, how do you balance the family schedule while letting Noella follow her passions?
Anyone who knows me, if you're on here, you're laughing right now. I have a color-coded spreadsheet and calendar with each person and each child and each thing and work hours and 2 nannies. And do I balance it? We're gonna find out. Sometimes things fall. Okay, as parents, we need to give ourselves a break. We don't catch everything. I do have 3 kids. One of them is special needs. He is autistic. He's in a wheelchair. He has 23 doctors. I have a kid who is incredible and all over the world. And I have a toddler. And then I have me. And I work full time. In theory. No, I do. And so one of the things that I do is I make sure that I look at a calendar a month out. Everyone in our house has a color. And I really do a lot of pre-planning. Sometimes things come up, but again, we have an incredible support system. We have 2 nannies to help me fill in blanks and get people from where they need to be. And I have an incredible therapist who reminds me that we can't do it all. But we can only do what's best for our family one step at a time.
Can you guess what my color is?
I'm gonna say pink.
That's awesome. We do the same color-coded schedule thing with every person in my house too.
Yeah.
Noella, you've been interviewed by a ton of people. So what does it mean to be interviewed by other trans youth at an event like this? This is another audience question.
It's cool that other trans like companies want to interview me, or other trans things like to interview me, because I still am very slowly grasping on that I am somehow famous. Everyone is in my life.
And for her, it's always just been about being with queer people. And so when she gets to talk to people like you guys understand her. So the questions that you ask are very different than reporters who are trying to understand the trans experience. You guys are the trans experience. She's the trans experience. I'm the trans experience. And so when navigating media, when navigating just communication in life, it's very different and a lot easier when you're working and talking to people who have their own lived experience and parallel to you in the same community.
That was a great answer. And now we're going to move on to closing up the forum. We appreciate all the audience questions. Thank you so much to Noella and Asher for joining us today. It was wonderful speaking to you both.
We appreciate you and your candor. Keep up the great work, Noella.
We want to take this time to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much for all of your support.
And thank you to everyone tuning in from home and to those of you who shared your questions with us. You can follow Noella on Instagram at @TheNoellaBella.
Trans Youth Advisory Board members Mac and Jamie will be back at 12:15 for a conversation with our next speaker, Hobley Smith, the author of Stay Gold and Act Cool. You don't want to miss it.
Now check out some awesome spotlight videos next.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.